Hello boys and girls, so we have started our new topic learning all about Scotland. And we have also been looking at Katie Morag, who lives on the Isle of Stray. And I thought it would be quite nice today for Miss Hunter to come on and read you my favourite Katie Morag story, which is Katie Morag and the Tiresome Ted. Let's have a look what the story is all about. And there's a good picture at the front here all about the Isle of Stray. And can you see that? So it's quite different from Newton Grange, isn't it? They live by the water and they've only got a few houses and one shop. Let's have a little look what the story is all about. There was great excitement on the Isle of Stray. Mrs. McCall at the post office had had a new baby. And everyone was delighted. Everyone, that is, except Katie Morag. She had been in a bad mood ever since the baby had arrived. No one talks to me anymore, she grumbled to herself, or brings me presents. Don't worry, everyone said knowingly. Katie Morag will soon get over it. But Katie Morag could not and would not get over it. She kept doing naughty things like stamping her feet and nipping her little brother Liam. Oh dear. One day she was so cross that she stomped all the way down to the jetty and kicked her friendly one-eyed teddy bear into the sea. "Tiresome Ted!" she shouted as he disappeared into the choppy waves. Oh, she's kicked him here. Dear. Mrs. McCall was at her wit's end. How can I cope with running the post office and looking after the new baby and Liam when Katie Morag is behaving like this? She asked, throwing her hands up in despair. Granny Island picked up a basket full of the baby's dirty washing and left, saying that they could send Katie Morag over to stay with her if she became too much of a handful. That night, the first of the winter storms battered at the window. Katie Morag could not sleep. She wondered what had become of her old Teddy, and she began to wish she hadn't thrown him away. She crept over to Liam's bed and took his hot water bottle, but it didn't make her feel much better. The next morning, things seemed to get worse for Katie Morag. She woke up to a wet bed. Oh no. Liam thought it was funny, but Mrs. McCall was furious. It was the last straw. I think perhaps Katie Morag should go to Granny Island for a few days after all, sighed Mrs. McCall. Katie Morag trudged slowly over to Granny Island on the other side of the bay. Having bad moods is very tiring, she thought to herself, and so engrossed was she with her own crossness that she didn't notice a familiar object being flung up by the waves by the incoming tide. Can you spot what it is? It's Tiresome Ted. The bad weather lasted for 2 whole days and nights. Granny Island could not get on with the washing, and Katie Morag was forced to stay indoors. She wondered how everyone was back home. And while her old teddy bear lay abandoned on the beach in front of Granny Island's house, he was a sorry state. Can you spot him? I can spot him here. Oh no, it looks like he's covered in seaweed. At last, the rain stopped and the sun came out. Katie Morag felt much better and she decided to stop being in a bad mood. She went down to the high tide line to collect driftwood for Granny's stove. Katie Morag found all sorts of interesting things that had been washed up by the storm. A ball for Liam, a box for Mr. McCall, a bottle for Mrs. McCall, and a beautiful conch shell. Look at all the things she's collected. I'll give this to the new baby, thought Katie Morag, and show her how to hear the sea. Oh, that's quite kind, isn't it? Can you spot something hiding here? I wonder if Katie Morag will spot him. Oh, she has. It was only then that Katie Morag noticed the two furry arms sticking up through the seaweed. She couldn't believe her eyes. Old Ted wasn't lost after all. Katie Morag rushed back to Granny's and dried her teddy out by the stove. She filled his tummy with some fluffy sheep's wool and began sewing up the large tear in his belly. But even with his new eye on, he still looked a bit worse for wear. When Granny Island wasn't looking, Katie Morag took something out of the washing basket. The journey back to the post office seemed to take ages. Katie Morag couldn't wait to get home to show everyone the things she had found down by the shore. The other islanders were pleased to see Katie Morag looking like her old self again. "She's got over it," they all said, nodding their heads. "Thank you for the lovely presents, Katie Morag," said Mrs. McCall. "And thank you, Granny Island, for doing all that washing." "It's good to have our Katie Morag back and to see old Ted again," said Mrs. McCall, smiling. "I'll never, ever throw him away again or call him Tiresome Ted," said Katie Morag, and she meant it. And nobody said a thing about the missing baby grow from Mrs. McCall's washing basket, which is perhaps just as well. And that is the end of our story. So your task this week is to think about how Tiresome Ted feels at the beginning of the story. So when he's Katie Morag's teddy and he's all cuddled up, then how does he feel when he's kicked into the sea by Katie Morag? And then how do you think he feels when he's lying in the seaweed when he's all alone? And how does he feel at the end when he's all patched up and feeling and back with his family? How do you think he feels? I'm looking forward to seeing your work. See you later. Bye.